Okay, so these are the answers or solutions rather for the try these. So remember we're factoring ax squared plus bx plus c. So if you weren't here yesterday, or if you're in third period and we ran out of time, remember this is a little bit different because you have a coefficient here. So that's going to affect what you do for this so that you end up still getting b. So we're going to still I'll do them both ways, the box method or guess and check, which is really the way I do them. And then the other way that I found that gives you a couple like guidelines or rules. All right, so number one was 5x squared plus 11x plus 2. Okay, so the box method, we have to put 5x squared here and 2 here. This one's not so bad because 5 is prime and so is 2, so you really only have one combination. But so 5x and x is the only way to get 5x squared. But now it matters where you put 2 and where you put 1, okay? So we're just going to try and do 2 and 1, and of course plus. So 5x times 2 is 10x. 1 times x is 1x. So then we combine like terms, and that gives us 11x, which is what we wanted. So our factors are x plus 2 times 5x plus 1. Okay, so let me move this up. And of course, you should check. So to check it, I'm going to check my middle term. So x times 1 is 1x. 2 times 5 is 10x. So that does give me 11x. And then x times 5x, 5x squared. And then 2 times 1 is 2. All right, so let's look at how to do it that slide and divide sort of way, as they call it. Okay, so let me just write down the problem again. So what they say is to do is 5a times c, so 5 times 2. This way I force it to be an easier problem where I have no coefficient of x, which is totally legal to do as long as, remember, at the end we divide to undo this multiplication that we did. All right, so now this is easier to factor, so you can, again, do a box method over here. And sometimes I think you still need to. And then 10, you could do 10 and 1 or 5 and 2. So let's do, 10 and 1. Okay, because I think when it's like this, you know these are going to be x. Everything's positive, so you know that's plus. And I need factors of 10 that add up to 11. So 10 and 1. All right, so we're not done though, because that does not give you 5x squared plus 11x plus 2. This here, gives you x squared plus 11x plus 10. So since I multiplied by 5, just the constant, I'm going to now divide by 5, just the constant. And then I'm just going to simplify it so I don't have fractions. So lucky for us, that divides even. And remember to do this, let me draw a little side problem. To get rid of a denominator, I multiply by the denominator. Okay, and that's going to give me 5x plus 1. And that's my answer. Okay, number 2, 3x squared plus 4x minus 15. Okay, so doing the box method, I have 3x squared here and negative 15 here. So that's going to have to be 3x and x. And to get negative 15, I'm going to go negative 5 and positive 3. Okay, let's see how that works. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x, and 3 times x is 3x. So when I combine these, that gives me negative 12x, which is not going to give me 4. So even if I switch the signs around, make that positive 5 and that negative 3, that's going to give me positive 12. So I need to find different factors for negative 15. Let's see, 3x squared, negative 15, 3x, and x. So let me try. Oh, but it does matter the order because I have a 3 here. I'm just thinking 15 and 1 is going to give me like 45 and 3. So let me try x. Let me try plus 3 here. Let me try changing the order here. Alright, so 3x times 3 is 9x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Oh, there we go, that's going to work. Because these will give me 4x. Okay, so sometimes you have to do, a couple problems till you get the right factors in the right order. Alright, so x plus 3, 3x minus 5. So let's look at how this looks doing that. A slide and divide kind of method. Alright, so I have 3x squared plus 4x minus 15. So I'm going to, multiply that, and that's going to give me, there we go, x squared. Again, much easier to factor something that doesn't have a coefficient, plus 4x minus 45. Okay, so factors of 45, I think about 9 and 5 right away, and the difference of 9 and 5 is going to be 4, so that's going to work. So x and x. Now, being as this is negative, that means that one of our factors has to be negative and one has to be positive. Okay, and then being as this is positive, this one has to be bigger here. This has to be the bigger number. Oops, there we go. All right, so 9 and 5, and I'm just going to double check. So that gives me 9x. That gives me negative 5x. Yep, that gives me 4x. All right. Let me make myself some room because I'm not done, right? Remember, this gives me x squared plus 4x minus 45, but I need to get the 3x squared plus 4x minus 15. So since I multiplied the constants to get the 45, I am now going to divide the constants by 3, since that's what I multiplied by, and then I'm just going to clean it up. So I'm going to get rid of this 3 in this first factor by multiplying this by 3. So that's going to give me 3x minus 5, and this divides to an integer. So there you go, 3x minus 5, x plus 3. Let me fix that. Okay. All right, number 3 is 4x squared minus 5w minus 6. All right, let me 2D box first. 4x squared, negative 6. 4x squared could be 2 and 2, could be 4 and 1. I'm going to do 2 and 2. Negative 6. How about negative 3 and positive 2? And let's see what that does. And honestly, I didn't think too much about that. I just put the numbers in. Because sometimes once I get this, now I might have an idea of where to go next. So 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. And 2 times 2x is 4x. Well, that's going to give me negative 2x. So, and if I put the 3 here and the 2 here, that's just going to give me 6x here, negative 4x here, so it's positive 2x. So I'm thinking I need to change my first factors. So let me try again. Let me do, instead of 2x and 2x, maybe I should do 4x and 1. And x. Now, if I put my 3 and 2, that's going to be 12. Okay, let me do plus 2 minus 3. So 4x times 2 is 8x, and negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And that gives me, well, that gives me positive 5x. Okay, so if I change these signs around, I think it will work. If this is negative and this is positive, that's going to give me negative 8 and positive 3, which will give me negative 5x, which is what I need. So there you go. This is so I write the answer. 4x plus 3 plus 3 times x minus 2. I think my answer key was wrong. Yes. Okay. Maybe I fixed it before. I don't know. Maybe I fixed it before I showed you guys. I have 3 and 4 mixed up, it looks like, on the paper that I have. Alrighty, so anyway. And then we can double check again. Minus 8x plus 3x gives us negative 5x. Alright, so let's look at this that other way. Move this up. Oops. So 4x squared minus 5w minus 6. 4 times 6 gives me 24, so minus 24. And then I'm going to factor this. So I need factors of negative 24 that combine together to give me negative 5. So that has to be x and that has to be x. So again, I'll show you what I'm thinking here. That's negative. So one of these has to be negative. Oh, geez, I did it again. One of these has to be negative, one has to be positive. And then that's negative. So that means that this one has to be bigger here. So 8 and 3. Okay, so double check. X times 3 is 3x. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. And together that gives me negative 5x. I don't know why there's a w there. Oh, I think I wrote a w up there. That's because this came out of your book and they use all kinds of letters and I just changed them all to x's. I'm trying to make it easier. Okay, so now I have to, I can't leave it like that because I got the 24 by multiplying the constant, so I have to undo that multiplying the constants by dividing by 4, since that's what I multiplied by. Okay, so 8/4 simplifies again to -2. And this one, I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 4 to clear that denominator. Sorry. So that's going to give me 4x plus 3. There we go. Okay, number 4. 6x squared minus 23x plus 20. Okay, this one gets to be a little bit more involved because you have multiple ways here to get 6 and multiple ways to get 20 since they're both composite. So there's really a whole bunch of combinations we can try. But once we start trying, then you know, as you see, you eliminate some things, you kind of get a direction. So when I first start out, I kind of just pick factors. So let's do 3x and 2x. And for 20, let's do 4 and 5. Now, I will say here, even, since that's positive and that's negative, I know that both of my factors here have to be negative. Okay, so 4 and 5. Let's just write them down and see what we got. So 3x times -5 is -15x. And -4 times 2x is -8x. Oh yay, it worked the first time. That does give me -23x. See, sometimes you get lucky and it works the first time and you're done. And sometimes you didn't pick the right factor, so you end up having to do a couple of problems. Okay, but that's okay. That makes it more fun. Okay, so let's just double check. That gives me -15x. That gives me -8x. And that gives me +20. So I'm good there. Since, just review our multiplication, these combine to -23x. Okay, now, when I tried to do this one, because I did work all these out before assigning them to you, using this method where we multiply a and c, this comes out a little, okay, I really had to think about this one. So let's see. Let me just see what it is. So I have to do 6 times 20. So yes, this is easy, or 2 factors, so to speak, because I don't have a coefficient. But that gives me 120. So I have to find factors of 120 that sum to -23. So again, both of these have to be negative, since your C is positive and your B is negative. So 120, so the first thing I think of is 12 and 10, but when I add 12 and 10 together, that gives me 22, so that's not going to work. But I'm almost there at 23, so I kind of made a list. So 12 times 10, that's not going to work. So then I did, I don't know what I did next. Let me try to think how I think I did this. Okay, so that's 6 times 2, and that's 5 times 2. So then you would have 30 times 4 would also give me 120. But that gives me 34, so that's not going to work. So then times 10, I could do 3 times 4 and 5 times 2. So that gives me 20 times 6, which is going to give me 26. Oops. Sorry about that. Or I could do 8 times 15. And then that gives me 23. Okay, so you kind of have to still think about what you're doing. You know, you need factors of 120, which is why I'm doing this here. and then you need a sum of 23. Since they're both negative, you're going to end up adding them. So all I'm doing here is little factor trees. So instead of 12 and 10, 6 times 2, 5 times 2, I could make that 30 times 4. Or then you still get your 10 times 12. And over here, I could do like 20 here times 6, which will give me 120, but then that gives me 26. So then this is not something I think of as factors of 120. I just don't go there first. Okay? All right, so sometimes you just got to start guessing and checking until you get the right combination of factors. It's just the way it is. Oh, now I can't erase those other things. Great. Okay. So let's put them in. What did I say? 15 and 8. Okay. So now, since I multiplied by 6 to get the 120, I now have to come in here and divide by 6. Okay. Now, neither of these divide evenly, but you do have to simplify them before you get rid of your denominator, or it's not going to come out right. So, x minus 15/6 divided by 3, that's 5 halves, right? And 8/6 divided by 2 is 4/3. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply this by 2 to clear the denominator, and this by 3 to clear that denominator. So I end up with 2x minus 5 and 3x minus 4. And then, of course, I would go through and make sure that I get the right answer. So 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times negative 4, negative 8x. Negative 5 times 3, negative 15x. Negative 5 times negative 4 plus 20. And those combine, and I get what I needed to, so I know that I am right. Okay, last one. Number 5, 18x squared minus 33x minus 12. So when I look at this, I'm like, oh my goodness, 18, there's what, 6 times 3, there's 3 times 6, there's 9 times 2, there's 2 times 9, there's 18 times 1, and 1 times 18, and then of course 12, you have all those combinations. But if I look at this, I see a greatest common factor. I can take out a 3 from each of these. So if I factor out a 3, so what do I multiply 3 by to get 18x squared? 6x squared. What do I multiply 3 by to get negative 33x? Negative 11x. What do I multiply 3 by to get negative 4? Or negative 12? Negative 4. Okay, so now I have an easier trinomial to factor. You have to, though, remember that this guy's out here. You can't forget to write it down, kind of in the end. Okay, so I'm going to circle it, highlight it, whatever, so I don't forget. Okay, so now I can, again, factor this using your box method. 6x squared, negative 4. I'm going to just kind of look at my signs. Negative here, so that means one of these. Okay, well, 6x, I'm going to do 3x and 2x again. One of these has to be negative, one has to be positive. Okay. So, let's see. How do I get 4, 2, and 2? Let me try 2 and 2. See if that works. Alright, so 3x times negative 2x is negative 6x. 2 times 2 is 4x. Oops, I forgot my negative sign there. So that's going to give me negative 2x, but I need negative 11x. So that's not going to work. So let me try 4 and 1 instead of 2 and 2. So 6x squared, negative 4. Still going to do 3x and 2x. Let me do negative 4 and positive 1 now. 3x times negative 4 is negative 12x. 2x times 1 is 2x. That's negative 10x. Well, that's not going to work. So now, let me try. Oops, oh well, it's red. 6x squared, negative 4x. Let me try, how about 6 and 1? And 4 and 1. Negative 24x and 1x. And that's not going to work. I'm trying to get, what, an 11. That gives me negative 23. So let me go. Let me rearrange these. Maybe it is negative 4. Okay, so if this is 3x, and that's 2, let's try negative 1 and positive 4. It's going to give me negative 3x, right? Oh, I forgot my x there. And positive 8x. Which is going to give me 5x. Okay, 3x. Oops. What I'm doing there. Let me scooch this so. Oops. Hi. Move that just a little bit. I keep running into the side. Okay, so 3x and 2x. So, let me think. How can I... Negative 4. Let me try negative 4 here. Positive 1 here. Oh my goodness, no wonder I can't get this to work. That's not a negative 12. It's a positive 12. So that's positive 5a. It makes it a lot easier when you write the problem down correctly. That's positive, that's negative. So, oh my goodness, now I'm all discombobulated. So I need both of these to be negative in order to get a positive here. Okay, which makes sense because now I have negative 3x and negative 8x, and that will give me negative 11x. Okay, so sometimes it takes some time, especially, if you don't write the problem down correctly to begin with. So we end up with, let me move this down. After all of that, 2x minus 1 times 3x minus 4. Okay, because that gives us negative 8x, negative 3x, which gives us negative 11x. All right, let me get a new page and then do the other way. Oh, see, and I forgot. That is not our answer. Because, hang on. We forgot, or I forgot rather, the 3 that I factored out to begin with, which, there we go. I thought I forgot on the answer key too. I did not. Okay, so be real careful about that. You gotta remember to write the 3 down. All right. Sorry. Let's look at the other way we were factoring. So it's 18x. Make sure I write the problem down correctly this time. Minus 33x plus 12. Again, we're going to factor out that 3. Now, we're going to do the slide, divide, whatever you want to call it, method. So I'm really going to factor x squared minus 11x minus 24. And I'm going to write my 3 down so I don't forget it. Okay, so now this, to get negative 24, why do I keep doing that? Positive 24. I need to do 8 times 3, and that'll give me an 11. But because this is positive and this is negative, both of these have to be negative. Oh my goodness. Negative, negative. So 8 and 3 will work. But I'm not done because I got that 24 by multiplying, so by 6. So I have to undo that multiplication by dividing the constants by 6. And again, before I get my answer, to clear the denominators, I'm going to need to simplify. So this is negative 1/2, and that's negative divide by 2 4/3. Now when I clear the denominators, I'm going to get 2x minus 1 times 3x minus 4, which is my answer. Okay, in this case, well, I think that worked out better, but, you know, it helps, like I said, if you write the problem down correctly. Okay, alrighty.